like right up against it like this.
Oh, baby.
Oh, I love you, windscreen.
Except we still can't see you, so it just sounds creepy. It doesn't look and sound creepy.
You can't see me at all.
Nope.
I see you. You're just super choppy.
You're not popping up on mine at all. The little one's frozen, and you're not showing up when you talk.
The little one.
The little one.
The little feller. Hold on, I'm killing some apps that shouldn't be running. Let's exit uTorrent. Let's kill Skype, because fucking Skype is incredible.
Thomas, where do I get the link for the... I got the link for it. Never mind.
Okay.
Tweet this out real fast.
Yeah, and I'm gonna grab it.
Did we figure out why there's no audio last time?
Yeah, you didn't have audio. It was just you.
Maybe it was just me.
It was just you were having trouble.
No. He's talking about on the stream. The stream didn't have any audio. So we had streamed the last one using OBS, and I had it streaming from the laptop, and I had muted the laptop because of that wicked feedback thing. And I don't know if when I muted the laptop, that muted the stream, or if I have to add the audio separately. I need to do some testing on that.
How's my audio video?
Video is still horrible.
Your video is terrible, yeah.
How is that possible?
Hey, you're showing up as a big black screen.
I think it's you guys. I think you guys are having the trouble.
Yeah, it's the two of us as opposed... I'm looking at the stream. The stream has the same issue I'm having.
That's one way to do it. Somebody connected. That's still very slow. Oh, that's better. No, it's fine. It's better now.
Okay, I'm gonna grab beer.
Hustle! Come on, we're streaming.
Oh, this takes way too long. We're streaming to all of 0 people. What do you care?
Well, I just tweeted it. The tweet just went out. Actually, we got one person. Oh, wait, that's me.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God, Becky. All right. I need to set up Etsy host file on my system that like redirects requests to reddit.com to NULL. I spend way too much time on that goddamn
This is crazy.
site. What?
I've got the live stream going too, so I'm getting this weird delay. It's kind of frustrating.
Oh my God.
Now it's getting really bad. Getting worse.
But turn it off.
Now it's fun. I want to see how many loops I can get.
You realize, John, that your kids are going to grow up, and this
It's getting so bad.
this cute thing that you're doing with the kids, where the kids do cute stuff and it's fun, just goes away.
I wasn't listening to you. I was listening to myself.
Thomas, you've got to give him like 10 minutes and he'll catch up.
It was so much fun.
Is he stuck in his own little world?
I was. I had no clue what you said. Something about kids.
I was wishing you all the luck in the world.
Oh, thanks.
Are we ready?
What are we doing? I'm going to take a nap.
I want to get started. Are we going to do hellos?
Isn't that how we normally start?
Yeah. Okay. Quiet on the set, please. Quiet on the set. Now I'm going to see those claps when I go to edit and be all screwed up. God damn it. All right. I guess I'll start again because I'm always
hey guys.
Start something right. All right, now
hey guys.
Now we need silence again. Hold on.
What's going on?
Hey guys.
I love how he takes the reins and then drops the ball immediately.
So many times he's like, you think he's going to be in charge, and then he starts bobbling the ball around. God,
hey, Eric and John, how's it going?
Hey, Thomas.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, welcome to another episode of PHPUgly.
It's another episode.
Yeah, we're already starting off very strong.
Yeah.
I blame you.
Well, we got a stream going this time.
Oh, wait, let me pull that up so we can listen to it.
We do not have a stream going.
Do not. Yes, we do have a stream going. I'm looking at it.
Well, then where's the little stream bot in the bottom corner?
I don't.
It's streaming. I can tell you that. It's streaming.
Oh, jeez.
I was listening to myself.
We've been streaming for a while.
That's good.
So how terrible are we as husbands and fathers? It's Mother's Day. It's Mother's Day night, and we're all on the internet talking to each other.
That's crappy.
I am, as my children constantly point out, not their real dad. So.
Oh, gee.
But you are married to their mother, and it is Mother's Day.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's been hard on us all.
I'm not going to ask how everybody's week was because I'm tired of the whiny. So busy. Whatever. Get a job.
I haven't been busy. I've been taking it easy.
Liar. I know just how busy you've been.
I do report my hours directly to you guys. So.
Okay.
So we've got some interesting stuff today.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I take that away from you?
No. I was just going to start talking. I no big deal. I wasn't even going to get into our list yet. I was going to say, I was listening to.
Okay, you got to stop now. I don't know why, but I just want to say happy birthday to you.
Oh, happy birthday, Eric.
Yeah, that's going to get edited out. Jesus Christ.
That's why I keep Skype and Facebook around to remind me when my friends have birthdays.
I do appreciate it. Yes, I do enjoy being told happy birthday. I'm happy to be here. To be completely honest with you, I enjoy my birthdays. I enjoy getting older because I'm still here. So it's a fun time.
You know what I got you for your birthday? A terrible podcast.
It's
starting out brilliantly.
Yeah, how's the video looking? Are we streaming nice and smooth?
Except for you.
You're frozen in a very awkward moment, but that's fine. I was listening to a podcast. Man, you're killing me.
Are you doing a podcast about podcasts again?
Yes, I like talking about the podcasts I listen to. This isn't network TV. We're not competing for time slots here or anything.
We started talking about this subject last week, and I think we've all taken the time to read up on it. The RFC for the Pipe Operator.
Did you just
totally hijack my conversation?
Did you step all over Eric completely?
Holy crap, man!
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Apparently,
RFC for Pipe Operator.
Freaking Thomas has to blow his load here about this PHP Pipe Operator, which I was going to segue into quite nicely. But no, he wants to jump around. So let's do that. Let's talk about Thomas.
I want to hear about I want to hear about this podcast you heard.
Yeah, in the honor of the Pipe Operator, you should segue it nicely because it is a segueing operator.
I don't get paid enough to do this. I really don't.
Me either.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
All right, we're gonna try this again, and I'm hoping I can edit this all together nicely.
I'm trying to make sure that he can't.
You're doing a good job.
Thank you.
I hate my life. God damn it.
It's not your life.
I've got to make
It's not your life
friends.
that you hate. Yeah, it's your friends that you hate.
I've got to make better friends.
And now your video is black, by the way.
Who? Mine or Thomas?
Eric's.
Oh, that's fine. Probably better that way.
So
I see the pain in my eyes.
Oh, there you are. So I was listening to a podcast this week.
Welcome to PHPUgly.
I heard a very interesting. The first time I'd ever heard somebody complain about GitHub or Git in general, I am a huge fan of Git. I think it's completely changed the way I've done development. I can't ever imagine not using Git to develop. And for the first time in, I think, forever, I heard a well-established, well-respected developer basically come out against Git, saying that Git is flawed and that the only reason people don't move to a better solution is because even though they're better, it's not better enough where it's compelling for people to move over. And
and you don't cross Linus Torvalds either. That guy has a mean streak in him.
So I can anybody guess who might have said this? I mean, this might be a common stance this guy has that I'm not aware of. No, that would be a good one. It's not a PHP guy though, but it is something we all probably use. I'll just tell you because it's pretty obscure. I don't know. It's Richard Hipp, and he's the creator of SQLite, which he officially says that the official name is actually SQL or SQLite or SQLite. SQLite, I think is what he said.
SQLite.
No, it's SQLite.
IKE.
SQLite. SQLite, I think is what he's saying. SQLite.
If he's following MySQL, it's not sequel because sequel is the second movie in a series. It's MySQL, so it might be SQLite.
It's not light. It's ite. And that was the big thing that he had, and there was a reason behind it. I forget. But you don't call it light. He's fine with people calling it whatever they call it. He doesn't care. SQLite, SQLite. But he let you know that it was actually ITE is actually one word. A great guy.
Socialite.
Yeah, and there was some reasoning behind it. I forget what it was. It was some clever play on words. But great guy, obviously super smart. SQLite is used everywhere, phones, every OS, tons of applications use it. And he was just talking about development and how, and this was a side conversation. It wasn't the point of the interview, which was this podcast I was listening to earlier. Got back around to that. Yes. It was the Changelog podcast. And I don't know. It's just the first time I'd heard an established developer kind of complain about Git, and just thought I'd throw that out there. See if you guys have ever heard of people. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've complained about Git before. I've used Mercurial and far prefer it.
Really? What do you like about? So Richard was referencing Fossil, which I had never heard of, and they had also talked about Mercurial.
One of the things that Mercurial does is when you're switching between branches, it takes the current directory structure, zips the entire thing up, and moves the whole directory away, and then takes the branch that you're checking out, moves it in place, unzips it, and now you have a completely different code base of items that are checked in and not committed and committed. And it takes the way that the Git repository works on GitHub and moves that to the client. So now you have these local repositories that are managed that aren't necessarily synced with your origin remote.
That seems like it would take up a lot of disk space.
And time.
Takes up a lot of disk space, doesn't take up a lot of time.
How does it not take up a lot of time?
Because most projects, even when they're big, aren't enormous.
We've got a few that are really large.
Yeah.
But so is the benefit of that being able to have separate branches where you don't have things checked in properly? I'm losing what the benefit of that is.
The benefit of that is that you can have something like Git Flow, which actually I used as Mercurial Flow, and it makes sense. When stuff is getting branched off and forked off and merged back in, you're merging into your local master and you're tracking things just slightly differently. Also, I don't know if you guys use Git Stash a whole lot. But the circumstances that require you to use Git Stash simply don't exist in Mercurial. There's no need for such a tool because everything in the file system exists in that branch on its own. So when you change branches, if you've got stuff that's not committed, it still gets packaged up and moved aside when you get the other branch out.
Yeah,
But what if I
guess,
don't want it as part of that branch? That's one thing I do like about Git is I can be working on a file and not want that part of that branch.
Yeah, then you give it commands to do that behavior.
But right now I don't need to with Git. So pros and cons. I mean,
also Git Vault is better than GitHub. Just saying. Or no, not Git Vault. Mercurial's. I can't remember what the Mercurial host. Bitbucket. Bitbucket is better than GitHub. It's got free private repos.
Yeah, that is nice.
Yeah, very nice.
Well, it's better in pricing, but when it comes to integrations, they're making a lot of strides, and their interface has changed incredibly over the past few years. But when it comes, I still prefer GitHub to Bitbucket right now.
Yeah.
And Bitbucket is owned by Atlassian, so it's already got all the integrations for the Jira stuff and all the Atlassian products.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe if you live in that platform, that makes a lot of sense. But if you're in the real world where you're integrating with other applications, GitHub just has so many more endpoints, it seems, that you can touch on.
But I've worked with lots of other devs that have used Mercurial in the past, and they absolutely love it. I just never got around to using it. I think I used it back when I was trying different version control systems, but I was by myself and had no clue what I was doing. I was fumbling.
Right, I was in the same boat. Yeah, so I definitely never got to.
Where it's the three of us who don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, but at least I kind of have a grasp on some of the Git tools and Git commands.
Now, how about Fossil? Have either one of you guys ever heard of Fossil?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it either until I heard Tim mention it, and I looked it up. And I think I see his point. And just listening to you, Thomas, it may be things that people find more beneficial, but definitely no features that are really compelling where I'm like, oh yeah, screw this, I'm dropping Git tomorrow.
Well, I tell you, I didn't use Mercurial for very long, but it was easier to use than Git, which I've been using now for a significantly longer period of time. I've been using Git for 3 years, and I used Mercurial for about 6 months. And in that 6-month period, it was much easier to use than Git was.
Git is very good at what it does, I think, but there are problems where, especially in a team environment, where you get somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, and then they try to fix something and they end up making it worse. Where if they would have just come to me and said, hey, I did this, I'd be like, oh, here's how you fix it. They try to fix it themselves, and it takes me 10 times longer to get them out of the mess they're in.
Right. Yeah, and Git was intended to manage the Linux kernel development.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Mercurial looked at that Git and said, oh, there's some good stuff in there, but there's some stuff that just really only applies to, kernel size development projects. So we need something that's functional for smaller dev environments. And that there's tools available that do smaller level stuff.
And I know I'm guilty where I personally have a little bundle of Git commands that I'm super comfortable with and I'll use time and time again. And then there's so many other things out there, especially related to as far as Git commands go, that I don't use. And even some of the more common ones like rebase. I struggle with rebase, like when I should be rebasing, when I shouldn't be rebasing. So I simply don't use it. And I have all my workflows I've built up around Git don't include rebasing. And
rebasing is one of those, once you understand it fundamentally, it makes perfect sense. And
you use it all the time. I use it all the time.
Yeah. It's not easy. Like, I do most of my Git commands via PHP Storm now, and I hate the rebasing in PHP Storm, so I don't. But when I want to rebase, go to the command line, I use it. It's great. So it's one of those, like, we need to sit down again and go through how to use it, when to use it.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, and it's one of the Git commands that walks you through the process. As you execute Git rebase, it'll say, okay, well, here's the status of the rebase. Here's what you need to do, and then try again.
Yeah, I'm rewinding, and here's where I'm starting. Here's what I'm getting to. So.
Yeah, I need to take another look at that because I did hear it explained pretty well as far as the stuff that you worked on. It starts to kind of slip in the timeline where it belongs, as opposed to putting it, in bulks in one spot, which does make a lot of sense. Yeah, I just need to revisit that one more time. Speaking of revisiting things,
are we going back to your original segue?
Again, it's not a segue if you call it out, man.
I know. We're going on 9 episodes segue free.
Thomas, you were talking about a new RFC, right? A PHP.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, an RFC is a request for comment. It's a system significantly older than PHP. This is how the internet was developed as a standard. This is how all the really great things we use daily.
So just to be clear, perfectly clear, an RFC means really absolutely nothing. It's not saying that this is being built. It's not saying this is going to happen in the next release. It's just an open dialogue to begin a conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So one of the new RFCs that's come around that has made a lot of waves is the Pipe Operator Rfc, which I can easily understand why this is causing so much controversy in the community. Okay.
But why do you see it as causing controversy?
Because it fundamentally changes the way that normal PHP code looks.
Right.
It reverses the entire syntax that we're used to, where we nest everything in methods.
Well, why don't we take a minute to step back and you explain what the RFC is proposing?
So the RFC is proposing what is functionally now the Unix pipe operator, where you have a command that generates text and you then pipe that command into a command that processes the text, and then you pipe that into the command that sends the text over HTTP or whatever you'd like to your destination. So it's content generated, content processed, and then content pushed. Whereas if you were to execute this as a series of method calls, you would read it from inside out. You would read the method that generates the text being inside of, or being an argument of a method that processes the text, which is an argument inside a method that sends the text. And the argument for this is that it makes things streamlined. So you don't read from inside out, you read from left to right.
Mm-hmm.
But that is also the weakness of this, which is that it will fundamentally change the way PHP looks. It'll split it. Right now, everyone who's doing PHP has learned to read inside to out. And
so to be clear, if we're talking about the same RFC, it's basically pipe greater than is the symbol that they're proposing, right?
I believe so.
So the way I'm reading it, they're kind of taking the idea of making objects chainable or object methods chainable, and they're applying it to standard functions. Take whatever the output of this is and send it into the next function. Right?
Right.
Correct.
That's my understanding of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't fundamentally change anything except for the orientation by which you read the language. But the issue is that if you were accustomed to PHP in any way, and you saw the code being used as an example here, you would have no idea whatsoever what it meant.
Well, but that's because it's not implemented. I mean, it's not a standard in PHP right now. But once it became one, wouldn't you be able to figure that out?
I would
sure,
think so.
It would be another thing to learn that honestly brings nothing to the table.
Except possible readability if you understand it. I'm looking at a Reddit post right now where I kind of got to understand what's going on. And they show 3 different versions. One where each one is embedded within the other. So it's a one-liner that's hard to read because you have to, like you said, you're reading inside out. Then they call one sequence, where they take each one and put it into a variable. So it's 3 lines at that point using multiple variables that are unnecessary, or using this pipe, which is doing the same thing, just removing the need for these variables.
Sure, and the variables might be unnecessary, but they're not weighty. They're just pointing at pointers that hold no weight to them at all.
Right. It's not. This isn't optimizing anything. It's just changing how it's written.
Right. Which to me is fine if you want to create a new language, but I think to fundamentally change the reading of left to right or inside to outside that's the task of having a new language. Your language.
I disagree. I mean, things are constantly changing with PHP, and everything is adapting, and we do a lot of object method chaining right now. Yeah. There's a ton of that. So this is just, to me, it's taking that same concept and applying it to these functions.
Yeah, I mean, just having seen the controversy that very, very minor changes have created in PHP 7, I can't imagine that this is going to go through the reviews board at all.
Yeah, this will never be implemented. It's an interesting concept. I would be for it personally, but not necessarily use it. Just, I think it's an interesting technique.
Yeah, and the other thing to remember here is that piping requires the use of a double $sign operator as well, which does already have a use case in PHP. So
that's just being proposed. It could be something completely different than that.
Yeah, sure, that's right.
It could be, but it does get confusing fast, and it seems like an unnecessary way of changing things.
Yeah, I mean, there's already workarounds. I mean, we've been doing it for years, but
I got to be honest. Listening to you talk about Inside Out so many times, you got me thinking about Silicon Valley. Do you guys, either one of you guys, watch that show?
Watch the first few episodes, but don't have HBO or whatever it's on.
Yeah, I don't know if it's anywhere else but HBO. But yeah, the season 3 just started up. Well, I didn't just start up. I think they're like 3 or 4. I just discovered they're like 3 or 4 shows in. I think 3 shows in. And it's one of those guilty pleasures I have. It's like, it's so stupid, but it's funny enough where it keeps me interested. And I like it. It's funny because before Silicon Valley, or I think at the same time as season 1, or just before it, Amazon had released an original series called Betas, which is kind of the same concept. These geeks get together, come up with this concept, and they're building out their solution. And I actually thought that one was funnier, and was looking forward to the season 2 of Betas, but it never happened. And I think probably because Silicon Valley stole the audience, and there's only so much room, much interest for that storyline.
Well, I mean, Silicon Valley is written and created by Mike Judge, who is, sort of the nerd's mouthpiece for futurism. So
he's the one that did Beavis and Butthead, right?
Yeah, and Idiocracy.
Yeah, that was good.
which he stated recently was supposed to be a fictional account, not a gruesome foretelling.
It's scary how predictive it is.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I've used an automated menu system at Carl's Jr. where there's no person taking your order.
Yeah. And
it's just it's pictures of burgers. And you just tap the picture of the burger you want, and it's terrifying.
Yeah. Well,
why is that terrifying? I'm confused. What am I missing?
Because that was how the hospital. That was how the hospital worked in Idiocracy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I guess the slogan.
I gotta see the movie.
Have you not seen this movie?
Obviously not.
You've got to see it.
Oh, Jesus.
It's like the world
I don't
runs
know
off
if you
of
should
energy
anymore.
drinks.
I don't know if you should see it anymore, because when it came out, it was a comedy, but it's no longer a comedy. We're at the point where Donald Trump is running for president as the assumed nominee for the Republican Party.
How do we just get into politics?
Because idiocracy
I think
is about
we have
how
a steadfast
terrifying that
rule:
would
no,
be.
no religion, no politics.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
I do.
So-
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we should.
Is it bad that Donald Trump is considered politics now?
Yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
but that's another story.
I'm supposed to shut up. I'm sorry.
You
Shouldn't have said anything.
watch the movie, John. It's not like it's not going to change your vision on life or anything. It's just kind of like, if you think about when the movie was made and how close we are moving in that direction that the movie's portraying, it's spooky, man.
Yeah.
Like
if 1984 was originally a comedy, and then all of a sudden it wasn't anymore. That's what this movie is now like.
Thomas, you gave us a homework assignment.
I did give you a homework assignment.
Who did their homework assignment? Raise your hand. That's what I thought. Oh, you did. You read yours? Damn. I tried reading it, and then yeah. I mean, nothing stood out about the conversation.
I guess I should say, raising your hand doesn't help if people aren't watching this.
Oh, yeah. That's okay. You were talking about plenty of things that Eric was silently doing on the last podcast.
That's true.
The homework assignment was to read an article called "Never Use NULL," and I think we can have a link to this blog entry on our show notes. And it's quite an interesting article.
Show notes. I'm just saying.
This is one of those that I would tend to agree with. I've never liked using it, and I know lots of people do. We're talking about returning null as a value in PHP, right?
Returning or testing on null to be a value, or even expecting to return null.
Yeah,
on
I'm guilty of that.
Stuff.
I am so guilty.
I was doing it as I read the article.
Were you?
I literally. That's yeah.
So I have clients that they do it all the time, and when I bring it up, they don't care. Not that it's not right or wrong. It's just a preference.
Right.
So my preference, my preference is throwing exceptions and catching them.
So this is right up the alley. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, John.
No, that's fine. I was just saying my preference is throwing exceptions, and some people view the catch as what's the difference between an if then else, if else if else if else.
Sure.
That's exactly what I was about to say. This is right up the alley of whether or not, or if it's good practice to have an if else statement, which I'm actually a fan of not having an else statement, and I have made a conscious effort to not have if else and to only have if statements.
Right, and that comes from a presentation that was titled "Never Use Else," that went around a couple of years ago and really had a big impact on me in my development. It made a lot of sense, because the first sentence you hear from it is, well, never use else. That's stupid. That's never going to work. And the presentation goes on to say.
Goes on to say what?
You're wrong. Was my audio cutting out? Is that what you mean to say?
Oh, wow. Really? You were still talking that whole time? All we heard was banging. I thought the wife finally took you out for a second.
That's coming through someone else's microphone. There's no banging here.
Oh, maybe that's you, John.
No, maybe. I don't know.
But yeah.
I hear like a kitchen.
Oh, yeah, that's Jackie. She's doing dishes. How do we get back to where we were at?
Exactly.
Rewind.
Way to derail. But yeah,
so there was a presentation. I had trouble finding this presentation a second time, but it's stating things in this sort of absolutist way. Never use null. Don't use else. It seems like you're being intentionally obtuse at the time, but it's really presenting the fact that there's a better way of doing some of these things, and that null is there and you can use it, but there's a much better practice available. And in the case of this article, it's recommending creating a a null object that you can return, and the null object will appropriately handle access to undefined properties and methods, things that are sort of constant problems for development with objects in PHP. And I agree and disagree with some of the points in the article, but it's definitely a good read.
Yeah, I think we'll probably use this the same way I use the never use else recommendation, which is kind of take it as a challenge to make myself a better developer and to see what do I have to do to not pass a null statement or be a little bit more creative about the way I handle those situations.
Yeah, and to understand the engine that we're working with a little bit better and understand why things do what they do.
See, I'm missing the part where it says use a null object.
You didn't see the null object?
No, but then again, I didn't really read the article.
There he is.
This is what I have to work with.
I see an out of bounds exception.
You can't handle the truth.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, sorry.
There is no truth. There's no truth. There's only nulls.
Use a so-called null object if you need a default instance which does nothing. Other examples for this could be a null mailer, not sending mails, or a null cache, does not cache.
Oh,
Those
so
null objects are usually really trivial to implement.
That was actually the one piece I did read, so I kind of knew it was there.
Yeah.
I think it's like the second paragraph, if I remember correctly.
No, it's near the friggin' bottom of it.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I must have scanned this.
Near the bottom of the article. You said that you read.
No, I never said I read it.
John said he.
I raised my hand. I didn't say I read. Oh, wait. Maybe that means I read it.
Yeah.
But
when asked who read it, you raised your hand. Were you asked the question? What was it?
I don't listen to anybody. I just do things.
The toddler ate my homework.
Would you let the man speak for a second?
So
no.
But why use a null object that can handle things that it can't handle versus throwing an exception at that point?
As the article goes on to explain, using a null object will allow you to send emails to a null point mailer that will actually not send emails out for purposes of testing.
So, but you have to then create that null mailer.
That seems ugly.
So instead of initializing the object to null, like we tend to do until it's injected, it's saying to use a null object of whatever it's expecting to have. Is that fair?
Yes.
That makes more sense. Why didn't you just say that to begin with? Because
this is PHPUgly.
I was expecting this null object that could be used anywhere. I'm like, that doesn't work.
No. This is like using testing suites.
Now that's an interesting concept. That makes a little more sense. This article does not do a good job of explaining that. I'm sorry.
So explain it again.
The article.
So we tend to have at the beginning of our classes, when we're expecting an object to be injected, we initialize it to null.
Right.
This is, if I'm understanding correctly, in a case of a mailer class, if we're expecting some sort of mailer object to be injected, instead of initializing to null, we're initializing to this null mailer that doesn't really send email.
Okay.
So anywhere in the object that says, hey, this mail send, it calls the null mailer because it's initialized to that, not to null. So that's a very interesting concept.
Yeah, I mean, there's the article makes several different points about uses of null as return values, uses of null for null object cases like this one, logging services, things like that.
I like the logger one. So instead of saying this logger is null, not this logger, at the beginning of our object saying logger equals null, and then anywhere we want to log, we're checking, hey, do we have a logger object? If we do, log.
Right. You don't want to ask, do we have a logger object first? You just want to say, throw it to the logger object.
Right.
Now,
So
if we've left it out on purpose because we're testing not logging, then we still get the null logger object or the null logger service.
So if it's implementing the proper interface, we have all the right methods. It's just not doing anything. So it doesn't fail.
And if you're doing if is set or if not double equal null, then do this, then you're really complicating your code far more than you need to be. It's hard to debug things that didn't ever get set instead of things that are set to the wrong thing.
That makes sense. That was way more interesting and makes way more sense now that we've had this conversation. So hopefully other people get what we're saying.
That was a lot of conversation about nothing.
About null.
Not nothing. Not nothing, because nothing is something. It's the lack of anything.
Jesus.
Unless you're using weakly typed languages, in which case things sort of go out the window.
So there was a new Laravel thing announced. Laravel Valet was announced. Does anybody have an opportunity to look at this? Does this interest anyone?
I'm not a Mac user, so it held absolutely no interest other than the somewhat amusing release video that it came out with.
The video was funny.
Yeah.
The video was funny.
So there are definitely a lot of drawbacks, especially if you're not a Mac user. The biggest drawback is it won't work. It is Mac specific. But it is a pretty cool looking tool. This is one of the perks of using the same operating system as the founder of the framework that you're using uses, because they always Taylor's always creating these cool little tools that seem to work best, if not only, on Macs. And I think Laravel Vault is an example. And quite frankly, I'm sorry, yeah, Valet. And quite frankly, I'm not sure that it will ever be ported because it's dependent on this feature, not a feature in Mac, but this common approach in Mac where people install Homebrew and they use Brew to use package management. And Laravel Valet actually uses that Brew to install some DNS Masquerade application. So it's a package management. So I can almost see this happening on a Linux environment before it happened on a Windows environment, but it's been a very long time since I've been on a Windows environment. So Windows actually might have some sort of goofy little command line package management system now.
Yeah, it's called a bat file.
It's that same thing that they use to package viruses. It's an MSI installer.
Hold on, the dog wants out. He's done listening to me ramble. I've got to let him out. I'll be right back.
I think we all are.
Yeah. Hey, bud. Good night. Good night. All right. Yeah. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do a talk on Laravel Valet, our next Laravel meetup.
The biggest thing is that DNS thing you're talking about. Everything .dev goes to your local machine, and it takes advantage of another service that's already available, that ngrok, that basically allows or tunnels traffic back into your machine, even if you're behind a firewall, which is very useful.
Yeah, well, and even the auto provisioning, where if you just add projects to a default folder, which you've decided is the quote unquote park folder, the Valet park folder, as you add folders, those mappings to those .dev URLs become automatic, and there's nothing else to do, which is really nice.
I do think you got a little carried away with the Valet piece and calling this my park folder. When I saw that, all I could think about was the old hard drives where you had to park the head.
Oh, wow, you're dating yourself, buddy.
Yeah, I think the naming schema is a little silly, but I think
that's how I feel about Elixir
too. I mean, it's it's doing a bit of work for you. It's not really doing a whole lot of work. It's very easy to just not need Valet whatsoever.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't need it, and that's the other thing is, if you want a database and you have to be running a database locally, everything that Homestead was taking care of for you, you now have to do in your local environment. So
It's meant to be really quick and dirty, get things running. But the fact is, we use things like Homestead or Vagrant to mimic our production environment.
exactly correct. Yeah.
And most people aren't running their websites on a Mac server.
Yeah. Well, even if you were.
Thank God.
Yeah. And what you mentioned about the naming convention, that's one of the things that frustrates me about the whole Elixir naming convention, because there's a whole programming language out there called Elixir. And then they have their Elixir package within Laravel. So I hear people talking about using Elixir on podcasts, and it takes me a second to realize, oh yeah, they're not talking about Laravel. They're talking about Elixir, the language.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Laravel Go, and then Laravel Ruby is going to be really impressive.
It's around the corner, I'm sure.
It's his product. He can call it whatever he wants. I don't care.
How are you looking for your first official meetup in North County as the lead organizer? You all set?
Night sweats. I've thrown up a couple times.
You're fine.
Yeah. Haven't heard from the presenter in a while. Hope he's still alive.
It helps if you confirm with him that you want to use his presentation.
I thought you did that.
Nah. Maxim's a wonderful guy. He got a job through our group a couple years ago and was ecstatic about it. And I hope he does a great job. He has a thick accent, so he's a little worried about that, but I kept telling him there's nothing to be concerned about. Just come, do your best. And as organizers, we're there to support the presenter.
Yeah.
I mean, the groups don't belittle presenters unless they're arrogant bastards, which are far and few between when it comes to presenters.
And that only happened to you that one time.
And that's because you were in the audience.
and drunk.
Yeah. Happens.
Yeah, it'll be a great presentation. I've seen the slides he's done, and he puts all of us to shame. If you guys haven't already seen it,
I have not seen it actually.
Doesn't surprise me.
No, he clearly put time and effort into it, which is better than I think I've ever done on any of our presentations. Mine.
I'm not taking credit for your presentations.
No, not today.
We need to get you some paint. Do you have a paint glass you can give away and we can reimburse you, or what's up?
I don't have a pint glass.
Oh, jeez.
I got to find out how many I have left. We need to order some.
You should do that tomorrow. Maybe I'll drive one out to you tomorrow, just so you have one. I hate for you to look bad your first time as an organizer.
Oh, I'm going to look bad no matter what. The pint glass is
You've got 5 of them. You can't wash one and give it to them?
I do not have 5. And if you wash them, the logo washes off. You know that.
If you wash them in a dishwasher, yes.
Okay, which you find out the first time you put them in a dishwasher. It isn't printed on the glass.
Note to future presenters: don't put the glasses in a dishwasher.
Not dishwasher safe.
Please note, pint glass is purely ornamental. May contain lead.
That's only the first batch we did.
Oh God, you guys have this running way too late. We're recording late on a Sunday. We got meetups on a Tuesday. I got major project deadlines this week. I don't know if this one's ever making it out the door. Just so you know, I'm just putting that out there.
What, this podcast?
This podcast.
Yeah.
Have we been publishing any of the previous podcasts?
Not according to our numbers.
Yeah, I've never heard any of them.
We got 30 people who listen to us regularly. Okay, we got about 20 people. 10 of them are probably different accounts that I've been using. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hyped for the next North County meetup. It'll be interesting getting sort of a fresh start away from the influence that you guys have had over the years.
What would have been better is had we not scheduled it the
tyranny.
week before.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem we had is we
Well,
needed presenters.
and we need to split up the days too. It can't be on the same day.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be poaching presenters from other local meetups and seeing if they'll come humble us with their knowledge.
Oh yeah, you're kind of stuck on Tuesday though. I think.
Yeah, we can move ours.
Yeah, we'll talk about moving ours.
We're just not gonna. We could.
All right, are we wrapping this up? Because we're talking about things that so many people don't care about.
People love this aspect of us.
That is our podcast.
All right. Okay. We're wrapping it up. We're done. I'm calling it. I'm putting a fork in it.
All right.
Can we get a time of death on this one?
It's been fun. I'm John Congdon.
I'm Eric Van Johnson.
Tom Rideout.
Do it to me every time. You suck.
I'm Tom.
I'm Eric Van Johnson.
Thanks for listening.
All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and kill the stream, but
right, I'm going to stop my recording.
Okay, you can stop yours, John. Keep yours going.
Oh, I turned mine off already.
Oh, did you want to do intros?
I'll do it. I'll take care of it.
Let's see. Hold on. Let me see. Stop streaming here.